welcome to my channel. I'm going to share with you today some mistakes that I've made that have led to fish deaths so that hopefully you guys can prevent the same mistakes. So I've had this Mbuna tank for 18 months now, and I've had 5 fish deaths due to aggression, which I don't know what is normal, but I would like to be able to have a fish tank and have 0 deaths. That's the goal, right? Is to keep our fish healthy and happy, have this beautiful tank full of these beautiful creatures. So this is what happened. Well, this is what I noticed. First of all the deaths have been females, which is weird to me because I thought that the males were going to be fighting with each other and killing each other. Like, that's what I thought the aggression was going to be when I first started learning about African cichlids, and especially Mbuna. That hasn't been the case in my situation. I've lost a female pretty regularly, about 1 every 3 to 4 months. I think looking at all of them, I have finally come up with some signs to really look out for, and hopefully I know those signs now and I can prevent any more deaths from happening. First of all, let me say that I do have a good ratio. Like, I know you're supposed to just have 2 males, basically this is the basic ratio, like 2 males and like 3 to 4 females. So that's what I have with all the species in my tank. Well, that's what I had, not now because I lost some of my females. But these are the things that I've noticed. So besides them being all female, they have all either been holding or have just barely spit out their babies. So they've been in a weakened state basically because they aren't eating and they're focusing all their energy into producing their young. And another thing I've noticed is they've all been hiding in the corner. Now it's pretty normal for my holding moms to be in the corner, but not all the time. Like, they'll kind of go in and out. They'll hide in the corner for a while and they'll come out. But the death that just very recently happened, she was up in the corner like constantly all the time, up really high in the corner, and that should have been a red flag for me, and I didn't pay attention to it, and then she was dead. It happens so fast. With all of these deaths, okay, so I'm going to go through them really fast, so it's not a super long video. But the first ones were my Perlmutts. They were the first fish to reach maturity and to start breeding. My male Perlmutt Gandalf was pretty aggressive because no one else in the tank was aggressive. My 2 biggest females were actually the ones that would get stressed out when they were holding, and they would go in the corners. My other one, Crystal, who is still in here, she doesn't get stressed out, she's totally fine. But the others would get really stressed out, and both of them ended up dying. The first one, Pearl, I didn't see what happened. She was holding and then she was dead. And the second one, Opal, I saw lots of fish attacking her. She was actually still alive. I pulled her out. I got her babies out of her mouth, but she was so wounded there was no way that she was going to recover, so I put her out of her misery. And then Delilah, she was a red zebra. She was actually also a pretty big one. See, I would think that the small ones would be more likely to get attacked, but my smallest ones really haven't, and it's been my bigger ones, and I don't know why. I don't know, that probably doesn't have anything to do with that. Size doesn't have anything to do with that, I don't think. It's just like confidence and aggression level. So Delilah had just held for the first time. I put her in the fry tank. She spit out her babies. I put her back in here, which is what I always do. In and out, and the moms are always fine, but she wasn't fine. The red zebras do hold a little longer than the other ones, I think just because they're bigger, they have more babies, it takes a little longer for them, for the babies to mature. So she had been holding for about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks, I think, and so she hadn't eaten. It was, like I said, it was her first experience, and so I think she was in a very weakened state when I put her back in the tank, and I think that was the problem. My son saw her getting attacked, called for me. I ran over here. She was getting attacked by a bunch of fish. I pulled her out and she actually was okay. I put her in another tank to recover and she fully recovered. I thought she's fully recovered. After a couple weeks, so I put her back in. I watched her really closely. She seemed okay, though she was getting chased a little more often than normal, and that should have been another red flag to me. But I didn't really pay attention. I was like, oh, she's just getting chased, she'll be fine. Next morning she was okay, but later in the day my husband yelled for me, and he got the net before I could make it down here, pulled her out, but she was wounded worse. And I put her in the other tank to try to help her recover. I was going to just rehome her after that because I wasn't going to chance it again putting her back in this tank, but she sadly didn't recover. And then the one that just very recently happened was my Saulosi. One of my Saulosi mamas, she was holding, and first of all, okay, so I've got this dominant male here, Orion, and I also had Neptune, who was subdominant. And he decided he wanted to be dominant too, and they were dominant together for about a week, and I was really excited about that because they were both very beautiful and blue, and I thought it was really cool that I had two beautiful blue fish. And I think I was a little distracted and excited about that, so I didn't notice that Ginger was up in the corner a lot more than usual. I actually did think about pulling her out. In fact, I got the net out and I tried to catch her, but she swam away, and I didn't want to pull all the rocks out and get her out. And I was like, oh, she's fine. She's holding. That's why she's in the corner. But then shortly after that, I found her dead. And so that was really sad. My other Ginger, they're all named Ginger because I can't tell them apart. But I can tell their personalities apart, just not what they look like. I put her back in after she was holding. That was the day after Ginger number 2 had died. I watched her really closely, and I did notice that Neptune, the subdominant male that had also become dominant, was sharing dominancy in the tank, really wanted to mate with her, was really chasing her, and then actually started biting her too, like really aggressively chasing her and attacking her. So I got her out, and she's fine. She's in the other tank now, recovering. But I just decided I needed to rehome Neptune, because I don't have enough. If I had more females, so I had 3 Saulosi that were females. Now I only have 2, and I had 4 boys, which I just found out because my other subdominant boys, they wouldn't really tell me what they were until just very recently. So now I have 3 males and only 2 females, and one's in the tank, so I only have 1 female in here. So I have been watching them carefully for the last 3 days, but ever since I rehomed Neptune, things have been pretty peaceful. And my other Ginger in here, actually I think I'm gonna name her Mango. She's bigger than Ginger, and I like the name Mango. She's over here. She's fine. She's not in the corner. She's not hiding. She's taking care of herself. She's fine. So I'm not worried about her, but I am going to get some more Saulosi to even out, that ratio a little bit. And like I said, I rehomed Neptune, and that's sometimes what you have to do. When Gandalf was killing his females, I actually took him out of the tank, put him in just his own area for a while, solitary confinement, until the aggression level in the tank raised, and then I put him back in, and he's been fine ever since, now that there are more fish at that same aggression level. So these are the things that I've learned. Number 1, and this is probably the most important one, don't ignore your fish in the corners. Like if you have a fish that's always in the corner, that fish is in serious danger and you need to do something right away, not just be like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. That's what I did, and that's how I lost my fish. Number 2, the aggression level of your fish needs to be like the same. Like if they're all really aggressive, that's fine, because there'll be lots of chasing, but they'll defend themselves. If they're all really non-aggressive, that's fine. But if you've got some really aggressive ones, and then some ones that are not aggressive or are not just, they don't defend themselves, they just run and hide in the corner all the time, those ones are going to be the ones that are going to be picked on and killed. And then number 3, try to space your rocks out so you can like kind of see in them, just so you can keep track of your fish better, but also so the fish don't lose total line of sight of each other. It's kind of the same concept as overstocking your tank, so to spread out the aggression. If I did have these, when my Ginger died, I had these like kind of all in the middle, and so I had Orion on this side and Neptune on this side, like kind of ruling those sides of the tank, and they couldn't really see each other. But then, it split the fish in half, so they could only see like a few fish at a time, and I think that also was part of the problem, because the aggression wasn't spread between the fish, it was just all focused on the gingers. So those are my mistakes that I made, my tips to hopefully help you avoid those mistakes, and hopefully I can avoid those mistakes from now on, to pay attention to those fish in the corner. I think that's the biggest thing. Big red flashing signs should be going off in your head when you've got a fish up in the corner. And I'm not talking about like in and out of the corner a little bit, that happens, but if they're constantly in the corner, like you need to do something right away, because it just happens so fast. Just like that, they're in the corner and then they're dead. So just pay attention to those fish, either rehome them, to go in a tank that's not as aggressive, rehome your really aggressive ones to go in a tank that's more aggressive, and try to just make sure that aggression level is even. And when I say aggression level, I just mean like they can stand up for themselves. Not necessarily that everyone has to be chasing everyone, because I've got some fish in here that don't chase, but they take care of themselves. Like they don't hide in the corner, and they don't just run away and hide. Like they'll stand up for themselves, So I think that's what you need to balance in the tank. Because in the wild, these guys, if they're getting picked on or whatever, they just swim off to another area. But when they're confined in this area, it's up to us as their keepers to make sure that they stay healthy and well, and they're in the right type of tank. So you've got to be willing, you've got to have other tanks to put them in. You've got to have other people to give them to, or pet store or someone, something set up so that when you have issues, you can rehome either your really aggressive ones or your really timid ones, so that you don't have deaths. So that is my advice. Those are my mistakes. Hopefully they will help you keep your fish nice and safe and healthy and well.